time to dismantle DEI. It's June 13th, 2024, and these are your headlines. In an attempt to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion positions in the federal government, Representative Michael Cloud from right here in Texas, as well as Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, have filed legislation to do just that. The Dismantle DEI Act would eliminate DEI positions in the federal government, bar federal contractors from requiring DEI statements and training sessions, and stop federal grants from going to diversity initiatives. Other provisions in the act would prevent accreditation agencies from requiring DEI in schools and prohibit national securities exchanges like NASDAQ from implementing diversity requirements for corporate boards. The legislation, which covers outside DEI consultants and government officials, would also ban DEI trainings and close federal DEI offices that conduct that training. Additionally, it would prevent personnel laid off by office closures from being transferred or reassigned within the department. If the act is passed and the prohibitions put in place, it could save the federal government billions of dollars. According to the Free Beacon, in 2023, the Biden administration spent over $16 million on diversity training for government employees. The government then requested another $83 million for DEI programs at the State Department and an additional $9.2 million for the Office of Personnel Management's Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility. A leader in the transnational criminal gang MS-13 has been arrested in Texas after being on the run for more than 3 years. Cesar Humberto Lopez Larios, a high-ranking leader in the MS-13 gang, was arrested by the FBI and Homeland Security investigators on Sunday when he arrived at the George Bush Intercontinental Airport right here in Houston. Lopez Larios was charged with conspiracy to provide and conceal material support to terrorists, conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism transcending national boundaries, conspiracy to finance terrorism, and narco-terrorism conspiracy. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, a federal court in Houston ordered Lopez Larios to be turned over to the Eastern District of New York, where he and 13 other high-ranking MS-13 leaders will be charged with directing the transnational criminal organization's criminal activities in the U.S., El Salvador, Mexico, and elsewhere over the past 2 decades. We previously talked about it this week. The Texas Department of Public Safety has apprehended an illegal alien from Mexico who has a long history of criminal activity, including homicide, burglary, and tampering with government records. He was one of 10 on Texas's top most wanted illegal aliens.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like to trust that where you get your news is accurate and pro-citizen? Well, Texas Scorecard has you covered. We give you real news for real Texans. Go to TexasScorecard.com today.
Texas is joining a multi-state lawsuit against the Biden administration over a recent regulatory change that helps foreigners and disadvantages American agricultural workers. At the heart of the matter is a new U.S. Department of Labor rule that permits foreign nationals working in the agricultural industry under the H-2A guest worker visa program to unionize and engage in collective bargaining. Meanwhile, U.S. nationals are still subject to the standards established in the National Labor Relations Act of 1935, the NLRA, which exempts the agricultural industry from dealing with trade unions and collective bargaining. And the Department of Labor approved the rule on April 29th, pursuant to the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, for its Employment and Training Administration and Wage and Hour Division. It is set to take effect on June 28th, later on this month. However, those plans could be temporarily paused. On Monday of this week, a coalition of 17 state attorneys general, including Ken Paxton here in Texas, argued that the rule directly violates the National Labor Relations Act. They argue that only the U.S. Congress has the authority to change that, and that the new rule creates a precarious situation in which temporary foreign migrant farm workers could unionize while American farm workers can't. They're asking the U.S. District Court in Southern Georgia's Brunswick Division to postpone the rule's effective date, declare it unlawful, issue temporary and permanent injunctions on its implementation, and provide financial relief. For more of today's stories, go to texasscorecard.com.